This week's blog post is the fourth in my series on the St. Gaudens National Historical Park. For more on the park, see the first post in this series. This week we are looking at more of the low-relief portraits in the new studio. On the exterior of the new studio and the larger works inside it, see the second post in this series, and the third post has more relief portraits. This one is William Gedney Bunce, 1877. As a painter, Bunce, 1840 to 1916, a native of Hartford, was known for composing his works with a palette knife rather than a paintbrush. I've given you a link to some examples of his Venetian scenes. This is Francis dMalay, circa 1880. Malay, 1848 to 1912, was a classically trained painter. He became the decorations director for the World's Columbian Exposition in Chicago in 1893. He was a friend of Mark Twain, St. Gaudens, and John Singer Sargent, and he died on the Titanic. I've given you a link to some of his works as well. This couple is the Howells, 1898. William Dean Howells, 1837 to 1920, was a novelist, critic, and playwright. He was also editor of the Atlantic Monthly for 10 years. His daughter Mildred Howells, 1872 to 1966, was a painter and a poet. I've given you a link to some of her poems. St. Gaudens also did a version that had Mildred only in a circular format, so just this figure. Next up, Andrew F. Bunner, 1878. Bunner, 1841 to 1897, was a painter of landscapes and seascapes. I've given you a link to an example of his work. This one is a bit more famous. William Merritt Chase, 1888. Chase, 1849 to 1916, was a native of Indiana. He was a landscape painter and founder of the Chase School, which became the Parsons School of Design. The American Academy of Arts and Letters has a bronze version of this relief, and Kenyon Cox, who was a member of the Cornish colony, painted St. Gaudens at work on this relief. It's kind of neat, a painter doing a portrait of a sculptor doing a portrait of a painter. These are the children of Prescott Hall Butler, 1880 to 81. Stanford White, the architect who often worked with St. Gaudens, commissioned St. Gaudens to create a portrait of Charles Stewart Butler and Lawrence Smith Butler as a surprise gift for their father, Prescott Hall Butler, a New York lawyer. The two boys, I assumed one of them was a girl, but not. The two boys are dressed in Scottish Highland attire with kilts and sporrans. The Metropolitan Museum of Art has a marble version of this work, which they commissioned from St. Gaudens in 1905. This adorable piece is a more personal one. It's a portrait of Louis Paul Clark from 1892. Louis, who was born in 1889, was the son of Augustus St. Gaudens and Davida Clark, who lived 1861 to 1910. Davida was his model for works such as the Diana for Madison Square Garden, which we saw in a few weeks ago. And finally this week, a head of Davida Clark. Davida was one of St. Gaudens' favorite models, and this is an early study for the head of the Diana drawing her bow that sat on Madison Square Garden. Next week we'll look at the working area of the new studio. DianeDuranteWriter.com has hundreds of posts on sculpture, painting, architecture, and my other obsessions. To join the free Sunday Recommendations email list, visit the URL that's on the screen or email me. And you can say, "Well done, Diane," or support my work and receive rewards by means of the tip jar on DianeDuranteWriter.com. As always, thank you for listening.